Victoria Police are a $4 billion a year waste of space, and our media, in this case Channel 9, are dirty propagandists. This man, who goes by the name of Auditing Australia on YouTube, was beat up in Melbourne yesterday, and the police allowed it to happen, deliberately delaying their response to allow the attackers enough time to do damage. He was getting surrounded by a bunch of these activists. He moved towards the police, asking them if any of them would do anything. They all stayed silent, some of them played dumb, a few of them offering a smirk. This is your $4 billion a year service. As the attack ramps up, these coward activists start screaming their magic words that allow them to justify their violence. Nazi, 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 and Nazi scum, get off our streets.
Fuck you, God! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you, you fucking monster! Fuck you, fucking Nazi!
Now, this guy can be a bit belligerent at times, but he's hardly a Nazi. Then as he goes down, the last you hear are the activists shouting as they beat him and take the camera.
Fuck you, fucking Nazi! Fuck out of here, Nazi! Throw it, throw it!
It was this guy who tried to take it but then dropped it. Cowardly little shit. And well done to the guy who came to help and held his own. Channel 9 did this guy a disservice by very purposely framing it with no context, suggesting to the viewer that he's the instigator of the violence, which I'm going to come back to later. As you watch this other clip, you can see just how much the police delayed getting involved. Remember, they were there and shot just 20 seconds ago as Auditing Australia passed by them. Cowardly cops, influenced by politics and, as usual, adjusting their response based on ideology. This delayed response from them allowing enough time for him to be beaten and to have his equipment destroyed or taken. $4 billion a year, of which I think $3 billion is staffing costs. These people all have great salaries and comfy benefits. Useless, cowardly Our police are useless. Defund them and save the taxpayer a fortune. I'm not saying we don't need any police force, but year on year they ask for more and buy themselves shiny new toys, new buildings, new weapons, more police, and even then the cops last year decided to strike and demand more money, which they got. And for what? You think they're going to rush to the scene to solve the mystery when you get your house broken into? At best, they're going to send a squad of paper shufflers to take a statement. When I got into the city yesterday after the incident, they were all doing their busy work, pretending to be of use with their clipboards and their checklists. No, they're not going to protect you. They are for the most part revenue generators and protectors of the political class. But if you come out and criticise certain government policies, then you will see them jump into action. See what happened to Auditing Australia a few years ago when he strayed slightly outside the approved area of a protest. At first they tried to charge him with blocking traffic, but then quickly they had to invent some new charges when they realised there was some other protesters behind him straggling away. They didn't show this level of urgency when he was being attacked. Yesterday, at this point in time, he was surrounded by the trans activists in front of the police. Now he could have started swinging at them to defend himself, but the cops would have arrested him. You aren't allowed to defend yourself. So for me, defund the force. Allow us to defend ourselves, because yous are all useless. Now, I get it. I've spoken with some cops. They feel their hands are often tied. And to some extent, that is true. They can do some good police work to get somebody arrested and then the courts let them down. It's very frustrating for them. I get it. And when they tell me this, that's when I say to them, well, you need to get loud. Throw that in the face of your superiors and go to the press. Tell them that something is wrong with the police force. And that's when most of the cops show their cowardice. The answers I get are, well, I can't raise a complaint with my superiors as I'll be branded for life as a troublemaker and I won't get a promotion. Or I can't go to the press because when we join the police, we make this oath to the force. Now, this was exactly the excuse given to me by a cop who didn't want the vaccine and was disgusted at footage of cops beating protesters during lockdown. He couldn't go public because of the sacred oath. And in the end, he caved to the police senior management. If you want to control a man's beliefs, then make it a condition of his salary. In another video from yesterday, I saw the cops getting handy with this other guy. Now, I don't know for sure which side of the argument he was representing, but I can make a guess that he probably was not on the side of the trans activists, simply from observing the police response. This is typical. Remember when the top cop in Victoria came out and labelled all anti-mandate people as batshit crazy?
It's just crazy. It's batshit crazy nonsense.
If you had any questions about the vaccines, then Victoria's top cop said on TV that you are a crazy person. Do you think they would ever make such a statement about these clowns, the trans brigade? Absolutely not. Because of ideology and politics, they will have to release a very carefully worded statement. So many of these kids attend these protests masked up. Why is that? Oh, it's just for respiratory protection, I guess. No, it's because they are evil little shits intent on attacking people. This guy's an interesting one. They have the gall to perform their attack brazenly in front of police, as they know that the police have to be softer on them. And they are so overly confident when they have the numbers against one opponent. He has an odd twang in the way that he speaks. You monster, you Nazi.
You fucking monster! Fuck you, fucking Nazi!
It almost sounds North American. Now, one friend commented that he could be an Antifa ring-in from overseas. And funnily enough, there was another guy with that twang last year at a protest.
Move! Get over here, fucking pussy! Dick! Move! Get over here, fucking pussy! Dick! Move! Get over here, fucking pussy! Dick!
But I think another theory is that these kids are just imitating what they've heard in Hollywood movies. So when they get into an altercation, the words come out with the accent. What I do know is that most of these kids do not understand the reality of violence. They've likely never been on the receiving end of an unfair fight. And these cowards would act very differently in a one-to-one. For example, if blonde guy here truly wanted to beat up Nazis, then he could arrange a man-on-man fight with Thomas Sowell's lads. I'm sure they'd be up for it. But this prick wouldn't do that because it would mean having to be involved in a fair fight. Just on Thomas Sowell. Had his lads gone and surrounded a lone protester, beat him up, damaged his equipment, then the cops would have jumped into action. They all would have been rounded up by the end of the day and given 28 days in jail. I've got a feeling that the cops won't get this guy, and if they do, it will be a slap on the wrist. Prove me wrong, Vic Paul. And before I get criticism for bringing up Thomas Sowell, no, I'm not a supporter of his. However, I am able to see how his mob are treated unfairly compared to other activists and actual criminals. And let's not forget the media. Channel 9, and in particular reporter Emily Rice, they are complicit in misinforming the public. Many normies will absorb whatever facts are spouted by these dirty propagandists.
Protesters on both sides of the debate involved in a running battle outside Parliament House.
Running battles? It was a bit of an exaggeration there.
The anti-transgender rally outside State Parliament quickly turned ugly.
They keep saying anti-trans demonstrators. They aren't against trans people. They don't want them dead or anything like that. They just want some common sense on the entire issue.
Violence has erupted at a transgender rally in the city.
Also, it wasn't a transgender rally. It was a Let Women Speak rally that the trans brigade decided to show up to. This entire trans thing, I mean, have you ever seen such an astroturfed cause that came from nowhere over a few years and has now created such division in public opinion? Division stoked by these Channel 9 They go on to show the aftermath of Auditing Australia being attacked, where that one guy came to help him and held his own well. But when you see that footage on the news with no context, it gives the impression that he is the instigator. Overall, I'm sick of the media. It's time to start calling them out individually, starting with Emily Rice. Journalist, a mediocre journalist.
In a big establishment like New York Times, Los Angeles Times, major television network, you don't have to be excellent journalist. You have to be exactly a mediocre journalist. That's easier to survive. There's no competition anymore. You have your good, nice income, $100,000 a year. That's it. Whether you're better or worse doesn't really matter anymore. As soon as you're smiling to the camera and do your job. That's it. No more competition.
If she's going to put her name to this journalism, then she needs to take the criticism.
Amid the noise and the chaos, it's hard to understand anyone's argument clearly.
She says it's hard to understand anyone's argument clearly. No, it's not. Do your job, journalist. A tiny bit of research and you'll easily get the woman's position on this. Emily Rice is not that stupid. She knows this. She's playing her role as the dirty media propagandist. I'm recording this the day after as I'm editing because I just found Emily's website where it says, Emily's understanding of the media landscape is exemplary. She has the rare ability to distill and communicate complex information, yet she couldn't spend 5 minutes to figure out what the women were asking for. What a fucking scam artist.
Amid the noise and the chaos, it's hard to understand anyone's argument clearly.
But good luck ever getting a correction or apology from the media. I'd be forgiving of them if they did admit when they misled the public and just give an apology. The only time you will see it is when they have no option left but to apologise. Like if there's been a long drawn out court case that proves the media were wrong, and then the apology that they will give will never be given the same exposure as the initial lie. The damage has already been done. By comparison, I made one incorrect statement on Twitter yesterday. I got my facts wrong on something, and when that was pointed out to me, I apologised and I retracted the statement. Imagine we had such honesty and humility from the police and media. But for now, all I can say is do not trust the police. They are not there to help you. Keep as far away from them as possible.